Hello. So, I was like, oh, I need to change, right? And then now, the message came through, but now all that's coming through is this, right? They're on there. Let me see. There we go. You can see they're on the little magic carpet. A whole new world. A whole fantastic point of view. Because when we're way up here, it's crystal clear. Now I've been a whole new world with you. Now let's fix my lips real quick. Okay, right? So, a whole new world. A whole new world. The clap was not clapping the first time. I didn't like that. But so the message that I'm getting, right? Okay, let me start from the beginning because I'm getting ahead of myself. This is pre-recorded, and that's because there is a certain amount of processing that we needed to do, right, in the last couple weeks or so, like a month-ish. I would say like a month and a half or so. Month to 2 months, but more so a month and a half. Like 6 weeks would be a good parameter. But so that there was a certain amount of processing that we needed to do for this to be how do I say, for it to resonate, basically. But so there's some amount of release that needed to happen. That's truly what I mean. So the thing is that we're looking at so much hate in the world. I did a similar message to this, right? That was pre-recorded, and that one was that one has already come out now by now. But we are looking at so many different versions of hate in the world, right? And especially if you're in the US, right? You're experiencing new things that are perpetuating hate, right? And I'm here to tell you that it's not truly about hate, right? Because love will overcome all, right? Love is so much more potent than hate. If there was a ratio, right? Love and hate, it's not a 1v1, it's a 1v2. Love 2, hate 1. For every score, every basket, love's points count for 2. I don't know how basketball works, so don't come at me for this. But and hates counts for 1, right? So in that, what we need to do, right? Breathe with me for a second, okay? I'm just gonna go. Doesn't that feel nice? It feels warm. Now, again, I made a message about perpetuating your own frequency and thinking about if you keep your mindset in that status of love, then it will overcome what's going on around you, right? This one's more specific. This is also very specific towards people in America right now, right? And those who are affected by the American government, right? Because regardless, worldwide, this is something that affects everybody, right? Because of the empirical power. But is that the word? Empirical? America's its own empire. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, so because of that power, America has the culture has basically indoctrinated the entire world in at least a little bit, when they're oh my god, the world doesn't revolve around you. America's yeah, right. That's the energy, And so like, just thinking about that, right? It does still affect other people, but I'm just saying, for people who live in the land here, who are underneath the rule, the government, the structure of that nation state, right? That specific government, those people, that's who I'm talking to right now. Those who are citizens or not, right? If you live on the land, right? If you're considered a citizen, right? That's more so what I mean. But yeah, so I want you to look at the world burning down. I need this to, I'm gonna look right in the eyes, okay? I need you to look at the world burning down and take it as a good omen. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but it's not. It doesn't sound that crazy, actually, right? If you think about it, because we're here in a whole new world, right? With all of these shifts that are happening, a whole new world. And that means that a lot of death and destruction needs to happen to create it. And I mean spiritual death, right? I'm not talking about vessels. I'm talking about spiritual death, right? Shedding. A lot of death and destruction needs to happen to usher us into this new world, right? Now, I remember talking with some friends, right, before the inauguration and stuff like that, and we were talking about politics, right? And I have friends that are just like, I don't do that, right? And then I have some friends that are like, you need to do that, right? And just understanding the difference between those mindsets, right? What I'm gonna say is support what you ideologically think is the best, obviously, but if you're looking at everything around you, right? I mean, there are things to do, right? You can rally around community, but I want you to know, I want you to feel, and I want you to feel everything that you can, because everything that they're doing, right? If you think about propaganda, big word, propaganda. I'm not gonna edit it in there, but it would have been cool, right? Propaganda. It's fear-based. So they find a way to look you in your eyes and take whatever that little string is where your fear is stored, right, in your gut, and they pull it and pull it and pull it, and then they tie it up into knots, and then they give it back to you, and then when you think you're feeling a little bit better, they pull it back out again, right? That's what it is. So when I'm telling you that your mindset and your body work, right, your somatics, your how you feel, right, because your body is connected to your spirit and to your brain, right? Mostly your mind is what I mean, but right, they're all connected. Your brain is connected to your mind. Your gut is its own mind, right? It'd be telling you a whole other bunch of things, right? And on top of that, that's also how we communicate with spirit, right? Is also through our vessel. Our vessel is how spirit and our mind communicates with, like, our soul creates its own expression in this reality. That's it. So your body is here to experience that. And so your body is a great way to tell you how you're feeling in this reality, because spiritually you might be like, oh fuck, I'm just cleansing, I'm just releasing, and then your body will physically actually be fucking releasing. Excuse my France, is not actually French. I hate when people say that, because it's not French, bruh. Like, if you said the swear in French, then say it. Then you can say excuse my French. But it's just like, excuse my language. I don't really want to excuse it. It's more about like guidelines or whatever. I don't personally excuse it. I think I said what I want to say, right? And okay, I was like, why am I talking about this? So, right, I said what I wanted to say, and why I'm saying this right now, right, and why I will keep saying this to the end of my lifetime, and yeah, and the next and whatever, right? Like, why I will keep saying this is because what you say becomes reality. right? Now, you've all heard the manifestation, whatever, right? Like, I'm not talking about that. I am, but I'm not, right? Your conviction, your intention is what creates it. Your belief behind it is what creates it. So if you're like, I have $1 million, but in the back of your head, you're like, nah, fuck all that, right? Like, if you say words that I literally won't even say, right? BROKE, nah, not me, right? if you say words like that, if you say I am and then identify as that, good luck when you're like, oh my God, please, God, can you give me? Yeah, good luck with that, because it's not gonna align. It's not gonna align. And I feel like sometimes, like, people who know me in real life, I be trying so hard to just be like a normal person, right? Like a normal person. But I'm like, don't say that. Don't say that around me. And then for yourself, don't say that ever again, right? But yeah, and I'm not saying, I still have shit to learn, bro. I still have shit to learn. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm just saying. One. What is it? 11. 1. Anyways, right? When you be saying ish like that, it turns out to be true. You remind yourself. You identify as it, right? The same way as when we identify with our feelings, right? I'm not going to say I am and then insert emotion, right? Right now, with what's going on, right? In this moment when I'm recording, I am experiencing fear for the upcoming changes that are going to happen, for my loved ones that I know that, like, lives and livelihood in this country are at risk, right? For those that I know that, like myself, right, are trans and non-binary, and what that means for our lives, right? For queer people in general, what that means for our lives, right? I am experiencing fear. Fear is moving through me. Fear is exhausting me currently, right? That's what it's doing. It's exhausting me. I feel jittery and tired at the same time. I have a knot right here, in like my lower abdomen, and my shoulders have been like doing the thing, you know, like I feel very clenched and very tense, and yeah, fear. I'm experiencing fear currently, right? Fear wants to say hi to me. Fear is paying me a visit, right? I am hanging out with my friend Fear, and all these mental reframings are great and whatever, and like I understand we're not all gonna be there at 100% of the time, right? The idea is to strive to acknowledge it at the minimum. Like, if you just acknowledge, oh, my old mindset's doing the thing again, right? Like, that's you did it. Good job. I'm so proud of you. Thumbs up. You noticed it, right? But the point is that we need to remind ourselves, right? We need to remind ourselves that our thoughts, and specifically our words, come to life. I don't know if any of y'all read that book, but like, let's be real. So I know I did a whole thing about talking about gossip and things like that, right? I don't roast people. I don't gossip. I want to be petty. But the thing is that when I am petty, right? When I am petty, it comes true. I'll be like, oh, right? Thank you, computer, for the confirmation. The little thing, you just went, whoop. It like, almost like shut that. But yeah, so 1414. What's that one? So, right? The thing is that I have no business doing that, because I know what I say. It be yeah. It's a reminder that your efforts will pay off if you maintain balance and trust in the divine plan, right? So using that, right? Literally using that. understanding that what you say comes true. There was this movie, it was a book, and then it was a movie that I watched as a kid, right? And it was called Inkheart. And the story was that he read a story to his daughter when she was little. And as he read the story, the book came to life. He was a silver tongue, right? And silver tongue, I don't know if y'all know Masego. Silver tongue devil. What is it? She called me Kakiman. I know I'm in trouble. But yeah, so silver tongue, right? And there's different lore about this, but this is one specific story that was made, right? And so what he spoke became so true, right? That something had to come out of the book. He spoke the characters to life. And as they came out, his wife, the mother of his child, went in. And she was trapped in the book. Right? And it's a long story, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but that's the idea, right? That's the idea. And the thing is that the whole point was like the evil guy in the book found out that this is a power, so then he's trying to find somebody else who can do it, right? And do it as good as him, right? Because nobody could do it as good as him, like that kind of thing, right? And somebody else who could do it because he wanted to speak more of his men. He wanted to speak his army into existence. He wanted everybody that he was his ally in his book to come into this world to take over, right? Because he understood the power, right? And so like the whole ignorance is bliss thing, right? And all of that, like ignorance is great, but once you know that you have that power, once you understand that within yourself, then anything that you say that is purposefully detrimental to somebody else, you are not using that power in the intention of love, right? Even if it's a joke, right? Even if it's a joke. You know, people who be like roasting their family and their friends or whatever, like their cousins, like, oh, like your mama, but whatever, like all that, right? Even if it's a joke, it's not right, because your words have power, right? I don't like your mama jokes, right? I also don't like crack jokes, and I used to make them a lot, right? For very similar reasons, right? And I had a story that I had written that was very scary, and it was about like a literal house like being destroyed, and it was my mother's house being destroyed. And I wrote that story in 2020. And I talked about the past versions of myself that felt trapped in there, that I never will have access to again, because in 2023, that house did get destroyed. Now, I could expand more on that, right? I didn't personally destroy it, but I spoke it. I read it. And as a reclamation, as me realizing what had happened, I spoke upon it again in an open mic, and I added some edits to it to be like, hey, I literally witnessed this year. This is crazy. My mind was blown. Like, I literally didn't understand what was happening. And my mother used to read that book to me. I would watch that movie with her, right? And it's not even just the words that you speak, but it's also what you write, right? That Erykah Badu quote that I love to quote, like, you put pen to paper and you watch shit get real. Something like that, right? I need you to understand, right? This is all looping back. I need you to understand. We are walking into a new world. We are walking into a new world. But for the world that is foundationally built upon hate to be destroyed, we need to walk into this new world in love, right? we need to understand how powerful love is, right? You can love from an angry place, and that's very different than being angry from a hateful place, right? Being angry or prideful or like protective or even fearful, depending on if you were coming from within yourself, your integrity of a loving or a hateful state will change the outcome of the emotion itself, right? Even being happy from a hateful state is detrimental compared to being happy from a loving state, right? And when I say loving, I mean unconditional love. I mean thinking about the effects of it on yourself and on everybody around you, right? That type of love. And I mean, to the best of your ability, you can't understand everything, right? There's a reason why we are here as individuals and not part of the creator as much as we could be, right? So because of that, I need you to understand how much power you have. I need you to sit with that. I need you to ask it. I need you to ask your power how it shows up for you. Is it through speaking? Is it activating your throat chakra? Is it through movement, right? What medium of life, right? You got all these artistic mediums. What medium of life is it showing through for you? I want you to talk to it. Ask it, how do you show up for me? What stifles you? What empowers you, right? Whoa. I don't know how I did that. I know it does that on FaceTime. I didn't know it does that on here. But confirmation, right? Tutu. So, I need you to understand that, right? We're all powerful, right? And while we're looking at everything else that's going around, this is the full loop back. And then I'm done, I promise, right? But this is a full loop back. When we're looking at everything that's going around that is hateful, us staying in that love, right? Us speaking over these situations with love are better, right? I don't want you critiquing anybody, right? Noticing and observing and speaking upon, this is something that happened, yes. But can we reframe that, right? Can we reframe it? Instead of, and this is why I'm saying this message had to be delayed, because there is a first initial anger and like processing and fear that we all need to like at least get through in like these first few. And I'm not saying like this is gonna be relevant going forward as well. Like whatever this comes to you, it's meant for you at the exact time that you're seeing it. But I'm just saying, like within these first few weeks after the inauguration, like we really need to understand that watching the world burn is a good thing, right? Y'all know that the ash, right, has so much nutrients. When a soil has a lot of ash, right, the ash that flies over from like from North Africa to the Amazon in like that pathway, you know how rich the Amazon rainforest is, and it's because of that. I mean, I'm oversimplifying things, but still, right? Understanding that for us to have this better biodiverse universe and Earth specifically, some things need to come apart. They need to fall down, right? And understanding that for yourself, right? If this came across you, then you were just like me, and regardless of what is going on around you, right? You are here for a purpose, and it is your duty not to get clouded. Do not let your I can't tell which one is actually me looking at the camera because, yes. But okay, do not let your purpose get clouded by this propaganda, by this fear mongering and the anger that they're trying to incite in you. I want you to use your anger and your fear to create art. I want you to use your anger and your fear to create community, to create spaces where people can create together. Even if their creations are food and potlucks and just talking, right? Or game plans, right? Understanding that, reminding yourself of the positive, right? And not in a toxic positivity way, right? That's why this needed to come later. This is why it doesn't always resonate right away, right? This is something that is like, it will come to you when it resonates, because you need to process those fears first for it to be able to show out as love, right? For you to be able to walk in love, right? Now, I'm gonna be real with you. I've been put deep in the news cycle, deeper than I usually am. It is, like, for context, it's Wednesday. The inauguration was on Monday. It's Wednesday. I am over it. I am over it. The amount of new news cycle things that I've seen, right? And I'm not saying don't be informed, because that is a whole other thing. But what I'm saying is that understanding that right now, when you are being informed, that the way that the language that they're using is purposefully targeted, because if your words have power, their words have power, right? So their words and their word choice, right? Think about a thesaurus, right? Certain words you use have different connotations. And if you change the word choice, then you have a different connotation. Like, I ran to the store, right? Or I galloped to the market. I don't really know, like, why I would gallop, but you know, right? Like, there's a different connotation. That was the fastest example that I could, like, come up with. I'm trying to think if there's any, but yeah. So, understanding that we need to let these emotions wash over us, right? I allow you, like, this is your fear, this is your anger, and you can have multiple, you can hold both of them, right? What did Pema say? You, like, invite them to tea. I got some tea right here. You invite them to tea. Oh my god, my foot's asleep. Okay, so this is a great actually a great, so, you know, when your foot's asleep and you try and, like, stab it, like, you'll try and, like, push it so that way, like, more of it processes, and you still just have to be patient and let it process. That's literally what I just did. That's always my initial reaction, is like, just hit it and it will stop doing it. But what it does is it actually makes the nerves, like, hurt a little bit more intensely for a second, and then I think in comparison it feels like it's less because you made it feel more. But just understanding that some things will pass, but you have to let them, you have to accept that they're there first, you know? Like, they knock on the door, right? They're like, and you're like, I'm not here. They can't even see you, but you're hiding. You gotta be like, hey, how you doing? Right? I'm not saying let everybody in your house. That's a different thing. You gotta protect our energies. But if it's your emotions, you gotta be like, hey, bro, how you doing? And then chat with them. Again, chat with them. Chat with your power. Chat with your emotions. I want you to ask them questions. What shape are they? What texture are they? What temperature are they? What viscosity are they? Are they liquidy? Are they hard? Are they crystallized? Are they spiky? Are they wiggly? What type of movement do they feel like? If you could embody your fear, what would it be? anger. Right? Like, that was fun. I want to do that again. That makes my head fun. Right? I'm laughing at myself. But, literally. You need to free your mind on some Thames-ish. Like, literally, when you hold it and you hold space for it, then it has time to pass. But if you avoid it, then it will keep knocking. It'll be like, hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still here. Hey, I'm still here. Right? Again, I practice most of what I preach. Right? There are still some things that I run away from that I don't necessarily want to deal with all the time, right? And that's okay, because I run towards other things too, right? The little thing do the thing again, right? So understanding that it's not necessarily like always needed. I mean, I think it's always needed, but in that moment you might actually not be able to do it, right? Our society is built actually for the opposite to happen, right? Like it's built for you not to be able to interesting thing on my bookshelf. Apparently 2 books I have are published by the same author or paid by the same company, and that was interesting to me. But yeah, so sometimes you actually do not have the space to process. If you saw something that is really upsetting and you're at work, right, you probably do not have the same space to process that you would if you were in your bed at home, right? Or in your room at least, right? Those are different things. Around those that you love compared to around those that you get paid to be around, right? Hopefully those are the same people, right? I hope that if you resonate with this, you're like in that transition of like being able to work for like spaces and people that you love. But yeah, you gotta keep the head up. That's it. Tupac coming through. So yeah, understanding, right, that you have the audacity to be yourself, right, and to be the powerful being that you are. And for you to do that, you need to accept the power. Can't run away from the power either. Can't run away from the power either. You have to run towards it. Ask it how it's doing. Be like, hey boo, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing a little interesting today, right? I've had a few rough circumstances pass by recently that I'm observing and experiencing and understanding, and that's cool, right? I've also had some great experiences come through 333, and some of the best experiences and some like very wholesome. Dog. My neighbor has a dog and she's really sweet. The dog and the neighbor, but the dog. Right? And like all those things. So this is the message. But you powerful, you better fucking accept it. See this face? This is me tired of your shit. I made myself laugh, so now it's just me laughing. But you got it. You got it. It's not funny. Now that I'm like, can they hear me? There is like a slight gap in my door for my neighbors. So I'm like, can they hear me? But yeah. Think about that too. Right? I'm not saying that you don't need to do protection work, because maybe you do, right? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but Do you know how powerful the protection work of just understanding your own power and standing in it is? And it is. Oh my god. Right? Calling upon those, be like, hey, let me know what you're doing. Let me know how you can help. Alright? And when you try to do stuff on your own, right? When you're like, I'm gonna do the protection spells, that's basically tell your ancestors that you don't need them. They're like, okay, bet, I'm on break, you know? You gotta call upon them when you do them shits. You better be like, excuse me, granddaddy. Anyway, my brain cells are doing the funny part now. But yeah, like, can you wrap this shit up? Cause I'm tired of seeing this. Can you kick their ass real quick? Right? The thing is that understanding how powerful you are and understanding that you don't play and your ancestors don't play, you don't need to square up. For real. You don't. You wanna know why? You wanna know the secret? I'll tell you the secret. Cause everything works out for you. I feel like I should have closed my eyes. This feels weird. Everything works out for you. That's the secret. And if you let all that fear get into you and bubble you up, and instead of processing it, if you keep holding on to it, be like, oh my god, and now this is gonna happen, and this, you basically just drink it in fear as titty milk. I don't know why that's what came out, but like, think about how formative that would be as a baby. You have an anxious child, right? If all they did was drink fear. And so, like, thinking about what you consume, right? Drink, eat, whatever, but no, specifically what you consume. Bless your food, but specifically what you consume for media and stuff like that. Understand that you need to send blessings out. If you see something bad is happening, bless those people. Right? Bless those people. Every time. Bless those people. Like, I pray for them. I hope that for the highest good that everybody is. Yawn. Hi. What was I gonna say? Oh, healthy and happy and alive. Right? I hope that happens for everybody. Right? But specifically sending those targeted blessings when you're seeing these things, right? If you see that a specific part of government is trying to push down on a certain group of people, pray for that group of people. And pray for the government. Pray for those who are trying to oppress you. Right? Think about how hurt you must be on the inside, how unloved you must be on the inside to purposefully want to put millions and billions of other people in danger. That must be painful. That must be a painful existence. Like, so disconnected spiritually. Like, that must be so sad. Right? But they have their role. And we have ours. And you better step into yours. That's me hitting your forehead like this. Ow. Apparently I needed one too, but that hurt. That hurted. I'm sorry I hurted you. And me. I love you. Yeah, I love you. And I don't want to hurt you, but you better step into your power. You better understand the power that you do have, right? It's not even stepping into it. It's like, I was like, why am I still on here? So I was, what's it called? I was in a show, right? And my granddaddy came to see the show. And I can hear the doggy and her running around outside. But yeah, and he came to the show and he saw somebody perform before me, right? And I was sitting next to him. And I was on in a couple couples, right? And he goes, make sure you stand into the light, right? That way they can see you. And I'm glad he said that, because like, while I know that, the reminder is always great. So here's my reminder to you, right? It's not about stepping into your power. The power is in you, so you don't need to step into anything, bruh. It's you stepping into the light, right? You being the light and shining it. I mean, like, wow, look at me. And like, it don't even need to be in this like actual like outward like, you know, content creation, look at me type. It's you and yourself. I need you to be doing that in the mirror. Look at me. The rest of it will figure itself out. But I need you in a mirror, looking at yourself, being like, wow, look at me. Look how powerful I am. Look how radiant I am. Look how integral I am to the fabric of this society. I am important. I am loved. I am worthy of love and care and kindness. And everyone around me is worthy of all those things as well. And when you see that worthiness within yourself, you stop being hateful and hurtful to others around you. Especially purposefully. Unintentionally is a little bit, but especially like purposefully, you have no reason to want to do that, right? Your ego might be like on your little shoulder, being like, hey, you know, it'd be great if you're like, yeah, calm down, huh? We not doing that. And it's so easy to say that. But yeah, this was a long one. This was a needed one. I feel like there's still more to say. So we'll see. But y'all always gonna see me. Let's be real. I'll be back, y'all. I'll be back. Okay. I love you. I'm gonna kiss your forehead. Mwah.